Ukraine is longing for peace. Europe is longing for peace. The world is saying it doesn't want any war, while Russia is claiming she doesn't want to intervene. Someone here is lying.
At the Munich Security Conference, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky took time out away from his country to deliver an impassioned speech before world leaders gathered in the German city. He was clearly emotional and understandably so. But the message he delivered was too brash. In effect, the Ukrainian president was telling off everybody, the US, Germany, and NATO, for dragging their feet, for not acting on what he saw were urgent matters for his country. He portrayed himself and Ukraine as the shield of Europe, protecting all the other European countries from the specter he sees as Russia. "I'm a lightning rod for all of you," he seemed to be saying. "Take me in as member of NATO, activate the sanctions, and give me more guns," he seemed to be saying. Not so fast, boy. You may be angry right now, angry as a young man, eager to prove to your countrymen that you are tough. But you're delivering the wrong message. The older people in the Western countries with more experience and wisdom in international relations, they may see things differently, and they will be acting in the interest of their nations. Ukraine is not yet European until it is accepted into the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and the European Union, the EU. In this crisis, Zelensky is trying to force NATO to accept it as a member, or else.
Doesn't Ukraine deserve to have direct and frank answers? The same is true about NATO. We are told the doors are open, but so far the strangers are not allowed. If not all members are willing to see us there, or all members don't want to see us there, be honest about it. Open doors are good, but we need open answers.
He is threatening to scrap the 1994 Budapest Memorandum on Security Assurances, which guaranteed against threats or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of Ukraine, Belarus, and Kazakhstan, in exchange for them for giving up the nuclear weapons in their backyards. They had those weapons physically, but Russia alone had operational control.
Since 2014, 3 times Ukraine has tried to call for consultations for the guarantors of the countries who guaranteed the Budapest Agreement. 3 times, no success. This will be the 4th time today that we're going to do this. As a president, for the first time, but both Ukraine and me will do this the last time. We are initiating under Budapest Memorandum and call for and ask the foreign minister to have this meeting. And if, as a result of this, we're not going to guarantee of defense after this summit, we will think that Budapest Memorandum is not working, and all the package decisions of 1994 have been put in question and compromised. In the nearest weeks, I propose to call the summit of the countries of the Security Council with the participation of Europe, Germany and Turkey to resolve security challenges in Europe and come up with new effective guarantees, security guarantees for Ukraine. The guarantees that we need before we become the members of the Defense Council, being in this gray zone, in a security vacuum.
His threat to abandon the Budapest Memorandum is brash. What? Will he obtain or develop nuclear weapons if NATO does not grant his wishes for membership and protection and more weapons? This might not sit well with the elders of NATO and the Western countries. In his speech, Zelensky criticized the US for saying war is imminent, that Russia is indeed invading Ukraine. If you're so sure about this, then do the sanctions now, not after Russia has ravaged Ukraine. That was his message.
cannot say on the daily basis that war will happen tomorrow. What kind of state is it going to be? What kind of economy is it going to be? How can you live in the state when on the daily basis you're being told that tomorrow the war will happen, tomorrow the advance will happen? It means crushing national currency, money being taken out, business flying out. Can you live in that kind of country? Can you have a stability in that kind of country? No.
And without mentioning Germany, he belittled the German contribution of 5,000 helmets. Is this all you can do? He seemed to be saying we're glancing in the direction of the German delegation. Germany is positioning itself as a mediator, not to take sides in this conflict. To be sure, it was a well-crafted speech, masterful in its imagery, raw in its emotions, and true to his country's message. Understandably, he also expressed frustration with NATO, but he could be ruffling a few feathers in the alliance itself.
How did we get to this point in the 21st century where the war is being waged and people are dying in Europe? How come that time-wise it's already longer than World War II? How did we end up in the biggest security crisis since the end of the Cold War?